You know guys, there's a question that I ask myself every day of my life when I wake up, and that is, why isn't there a Red Orchestra 3 or a Rising Storm 3 game being announced? Tripwire Interactive, their publisher, are sitting on an absolute gold mine here with these two unannounced games, but they are doing absolutely nothing. Nothing at all to change this mess. One of the most immersive, realistic and fun World War II and Vietnam experiences of all time are being forgotten, and it is such a shame because people have to know about it. They have to know how great this franchise is and why a comeback is the perfect opportunity. People have been begging for a new game for years and years, but nothing is happening, and so, like most exciting abandoned projects, the players themselves will take care of it. Let me introduce you to Black Orchestra, a new single-player, co-op and PvP game / mod that is being named the new Red Orchestra / Rising Storm game, created entirely by fans of the series and available through Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, so you'll need to own Rising Storm 2 to play this. Let me get this right, this is not a little mod that changes simple things here and there. No, we're talking about a full-fledged overhauled game with remastered graphics, an absolute ton of new maps and theaters, new weapons, new voice lines, vehicles, and the two franchises Red Orchestra and Rising Storm coming together as one. This 100% looks like the Red Orchestra 3 that we deserve, and I'm so excited that it's actually been created by actual fans. There's a lot of exciting stuff to get into here, so without further ado, make sure to support this video if you're excited, and let's start. Now, thanks to Random Madness on YouTube for having an interview with the developers of Black Orchestra, we were able to get a whole lot of details on what this massive mod will be and how it came to life, as well as the gameplay that you're seeing on screen, which is the official reveal. Make sure you check out Random Madness channel to see the interview. It starts off by saying that it all began with several teams working on different game mods, but all roughly in the same direction. Instead of splitting the player base, they decided to join forces and make it a joint effort, one that would turn out to be very ambitious and exciting. Very much so, because there are many different war theaters planned for this mod at release, and more later on, including Eastern, Western, Pacific, as well as the African front. The China-Japan war is also planned, but it will come at a later date as well as maybe Korea. So that shows you everything they have in the works and in mind. Each theater will have many maps to play on. Of course, this mod doesn't just have new maps and better graphics. They are also planning gameplay enhancements as well. For example, more artillery strikes, naval support, and one really nice thing is that weapons are going to be limited to specific maps. You won't always have the same class, because if a map is based on a battle early in the war, you won't have weapons that weren't available at that time, like many World War game does. Each loadout will be based on the battles that have been fought during their time. There is also said to be more vehicles planned and more vehicle types like jeeps and armored cars to better get around the battlefield and to do some massive carnage. The coolest thing that Random Madness said about Black Orchestra is the new bots AIs. As opposed to them being useless in the past games, this mod will make them dangerous and useful as well. So you'll be able to have epic wars in single player and co-op against AIs, which is so cool because Red Orchestra was always about the multiplayer because the AIs were a little bit dumb, but now they will be dangerous. The interview continues on and mentioned the release of the mod might be at the end of this year in 2023 or in early 2024. It's not been officially decided yet. The foundation is already there, and right now it is more about adding new content and fleshing it out, which is really good news because they're already fully finished. They just want to add more content and more, and so I think this mod will be alive for years to come. There will also be more tanks and vehicles in the maps during battle, so it feels more like an all-out war, but they also want to keep it realistic and not too much. There will be maps for infantry and maps for more vehicle warfare and open fields, but overall Black Orchestra is pretty much what people would have wanted from a new Red Orchestra and Rising Storm game. It's remastering the graphics to the best of its capabilities with the engine. It adds new theaters of war, new weapons, new vehicles, voice lines, and it's being made with passion by modders and fans of the game that just wanted a new Red Orchestra game, which Tripwire never delivered, so they're doing it themselves. If you're a big fan of Rising Storm 2 Vietnam and are pretty sad that the official devs have been dismantled and won't ever continue the series, well, I have got some very interesting news for you right now. If you didn't know, Antimatter Games were the studio who worked on Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. They went on to leave their publisher Tripwire Interactive to have more creative freedom in what they want to do. For years and years up until 2023, they were working on two ambitious FPS games, one being IGI Origins and its spiritual successor to Rising Storm, called 83, an FPS multiplayer game during the Cold War era. After years of Antimatter Games working on these two exciting projects and having gained a big community, both games have been cancelled due to its new publisher being on the verge of bankruptcy. This was a sad day for FPS fans, but now we may be able to rejoice for a little bit because the most interesting out of the two, the 83 game, is being officially revived by a newfound studio made of ex-Antimatter devs, its founder, and more industry veterans. The new studio, Blue Dot Games, are actively seeking playtesters for 83 right now. This will involve signing an NDA before being given access to a pre-alpha build of the game, and they will then be able to play the game and offer feedback on where they want this game to go. It is such good news to hear about this because 83 was one of my most anticipated games at the time, for the simple fact that I love what these devs have done with Rising Storm. You just know they'll do something amazing with this now. And in an interview with PCGamer.com, the founder said, and I quote, "When I heard that Antimatter Games was due to be shuttered, I started reaching out to former colleagues and others within AMG about the possibility of doing a deal with their owners, Inat Global 7. At this point, PC Gamer goes on to say that Blue Dot has a letter of intent to acquire the rights to make the game and is now finalizing the terms of that deal, which grants the studio access to a significant amount of assets and the use of everything that was previously developed for the game." The interview continues on to say Blue Dot is also bringing in more developers to work on the project. It already has senior people in all of the key areas, the code, level design, art, and animations, and is also pretty far along in negotiations with several of the key senior people involved in 83. While 83 is kicking again, it is said it will be a long while before any kind of public release happens, because Blue Dot is recruiting people to test older versions of the game and refine the gameplay to a point where it is clear to publishers that we have found the fun, it said. This will take a little while as the game development had essentially stalled for more than a year, the founder said. "We believe we have found the sweet spot between Twitch, 360 no-scope shooters, and Tech Bro, Milsim, large map titles. We offer intense, realistic tactical engagements on maps that are large, but not so large as to become walking simulators." This founder also confirmed that a revival of IGI Origins is not on the table at the moment, and they were only interested in reviving this 83 IP. They also don't want to work on two games at the same time anymore because we saw how that turned out. Alright guys, if you're excited for both of these games in the video, drop a like right now and subscribe to stay tuned.